속엔 조도 일도도 감초 앞에 일이
Good morning, Ohio friends, and thank you very much for coming to our Sunday service. Today is July 7th, and July 7th is known as Tanabata in Japan. And Tanabata literally means the evening of the 7th of July. And this is usually translated as a Star Festival. And why star is because this originated in the Chinese folk story that the Star of Vega and Star of Altair were separated by the Milky Way. But once a year, on this day, July 7th, the stars get together closer to them. And so they believe that the star of Orihime, the princess, and star of Altair, Hikoboshi, the prince, can meet because of get closer. So that is the day that Tanabata. And on the Tanabata day, we decorate with bamboo, branches and put on a small card and writing on a wish. And this is a Tanabata tradition. So it is a day that when the Orihime and Hikoboshi can meet once a year. And this is such a romantic day, and so that we can have a good wish, so writing upon the card and we call kanzaku, and put it in a bamboo branch. So let's start Sunday service. Page 3, invocation, led by Lady Takano.
Page 3, invocation. Amidalutta, the awakened one, the compassionate one, we ask for your guidance on this happy day. Lead us from the numbness of the routine and from all bitterness of the heart to a peaceful place of compassion and wisdom. Grant us the strength and abiding consciousness to work together harmoniously in our temple and in our community. Help us to always remember that life is a one, and therefore that all living things coexist and are interconnected, and that the innate light of compassion shine upon the heart of everyone. Namaste.
Thank you. Page 5, Vandana Tisarana, page 5.
Oh,
6. Sure, that's exactly page 6. Thank you. Page 8, golden chain. Reading together. I am in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my limb bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to sing pure and beautiful songs, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that what I become depends my happiness or misery. May every link in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love become bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you. Page 9. Eightfold Path. The Buddha teaches us that we may become pure and holy by following the rules laid down for us. Let us repeat them and also remember at all times what they mean. First, right understanding. Let us learn and try to understand the truth. Second, right purpose. Let us try always to do what is right. Third, right speech. Let us be truthful and kind in all we say. Fourth, right conduct. Let us try to behave ourselves at all times. Fifth, right livelihood. Let us earn our living in a way which will not harm anyone. Sixth, right endeavor. Let us constantly try to become better. Seventh, right thought. Let us cherish our thoughts because our words and our actions arise from our thoughts. Eighth, right meditation. Let us think often of Amida Buddha and repeat the sacred name Amida Buddha. May the sacred presence of Amida, who saved healed the body in his teaching, be our guide. May we follow his glorious example and tread with our following steps this noble path until we too shall attain enlightenment. Namaste. Thank you very much. To page 24, Soya Kumo.
24 in praise of Amida Buddha's life. So let go. 光明返上自己世界現主の摂取者 The infinite light of Amida Buddha illuminated the 10 directions of the world, and all who call upon his name shall be received and never abandoned. Devoted form of Amida Buddha's name, name with each name. Please offer your incense.
unified agony, merit transference for the deceased, dedicating Mary through the chanting of scriptural passages and the calling of Amida Buddha's name is an important practice in Jodo. This is a time to offer our prayers to our ancestors and beloved ones, as well as to remember them with gratitude for all they have done for us. May we aspire to live fruitful, peaceful lives while sending our thoughts to those who are not with us in this world. Let us now offer our prayers so that everyone be released from suffering and be born into Amida Buddha's pure land of ultimate bliss. We bow here over the virtues accumulated from this place to transfer our merit to our beloved ones, the ministers and members and friends of the Jodo Mission temples, for the happiness and achievement of enlightenment. Also our prayers to those who passed away, wars in accidents and in natural disasters. Page 26. 総栄光で安にしくどく平等聖最高す古来心往生安楽 We aspire for this merit and righteous to be equally bestowed upon all, and may we together develop the aspiration for enlightenment, to achieve birth in the pure land of peace and bliss. Please put your hands together in the show and recite Nam Amida Bu together 10 times. おしょう10年アムアミアミナミアミナムナムアミナムナムアミナナムアミナムナムアミナムナムアミナムナムアミナナムアミナムズナムアミナム Okay, so last week we had a commemoration lecture by Dr. Glenn Webb. He's a professor emeritus of the Pepperdine University, and also he is a Rinzai priest. And this was delivered in commemoration of the 800th grand anniversary of the foundation in 2011, and so this is the second half of his lecture, and he's talking about ancestor worshiping. So let me share this video, and the DVD is sold at the Jodo North America Mission. So this is a DVD disc 2, and it includes the gagaku and commemoration anniversary service and one sheet document, and also the commemorative lecture by Dr. Glenn Webb. So today we do the second half, ancestor worship. Okay.
Listen to my own reflections on this subject. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. I want to go now into a couple of other areas ancestor worship, or what is known in the Western world as ancestor worship. I suppose everyone in the world naturally respects their ancestors, their parents, their ancestors, and everybody feels grateful to them for everything. In Japanese families, a Buddhist altar is always kept in good order, candles and flowers, incense, food offerings, so that everyone in the family can come every day and express their respect and their gratitude to their relatives. Sometimes family members even talk to the dead as though they were still alive. Now, this is commonly called ancestor worship in the Western world, and Westerners don't like that. And I will try to explain why. They have not seen talking to the dead as a good thing. At best, I guess, they think that talking to the dead is a little weird. And at worst, they probably consider it to be blasphemous and sinful, for reasons that I'll explain in a minute. Of course, Westerners do appreciate their ancestors. They do think about them. But after funerals are over, in most of the religions of the Western world, whether it's Judaism, or Christianity, or Islam, after those funerals are over, our dead no longer exist. Even if we believe that they have gone to heaven, we don't think that they've gone to heaven, but even if we think about them in that way, we don't try to talk to them. And this is a big point of difference between the Western world and the Eastern world. For religious Westerners, death is final. It's the place where your soul will spend eternity, either in heaven or hell. And that all depends, where you go, depends on how much you love God, how much you follow the teachings of God, whether it is the Jewish God, or the Christian God, or the Islamic God. That's one God, by the way, that's what I believe. And so, you really have to make sure that your focus in worship is to God and to God alone. You must admit, or you must, what shall I say? You must understand as a Westerner that God's decision about the afterlife is irrevocable. His decision is there, and it will determine whether you're in one place or the other forever. It is very clear that God comes first in the Western religions. After the relatives and friends of Jews and Christians and Muslims are dead, the God of the universe he in effect absorbs all of the love and respect that the living relatives have for their dead relatives. It goes to God. You no longer have a relationship with your dead relatives. This belief that only God deserves our ultimate love and respect and gratitude is deeply embedded in the hearts of Westerners. Believing Westerners. We have a lot of Westerners who don't believe. But when somebody asks you, if you're a Westerner, do you believe in God? You had better say yes. Because if you don't say yes, you are considered by most people in the Western world a very bad person. Right now, we are sitting in a Buddhist temple in the United States of America, where in God we trust is, taken for granted. It's on our money. It's everywhere around us. It's even been put in the Christian prayer. Well, this is appropriate because in Jewish scripture and Christian scripture and also in Muslim scripture, there are two major commandments. The first one is to love God. The second one is to love your neighbor as yourself. So make no mistake. First is first, second is second. Therefore, Westerners do not feel that it is acceptable to do anything that looks like worship of your neighbors. Love them, yes, but your real respect goes to God on everything. Every single one of the Western religions, and I would say that also the religion of Buddhism and of Hinduism as well, all of these religions are interested in what happens to us after we die. That's the whole point. Some 7 years ago, to give you a personal story, our first son, our firstborn son, Burke, died of a brain aneurysm. He was only 45 years old. And after he died, many of our Christian friends tried to console us by saying things like, God had better plans for him. Or, oh, Burke, he's in these friends mean well, but it didn't make us feel good. They interpret Christian scriptures to say that God is always in control, and that we have little to do with it. I mean, we do have freedom of choice and action, but we really are in God's hands, and therefore He has plans for us, including our death, even the death of our son, that we don't understand. This is very hard to take. And, you know, with this in their minds, Christians would say, well, you just have to get over this and leave this to God and move on with your life. That's very difficult. And I'll tell you what has really helped us a lot. I may get emotional here. Sorry. All of our friends in Japan have pictures of Burke on their altars. And that's very comforting. That's very comforting. We don't have that tradition in the Western world. So it's very difficult for us to just be content with what our tradition in the Western world has given us. I have a theory that the East is horizontal and the West is vertical. And by that I mean this. In Japan, I see a very strong connection, a horizontal connection between each of us and our ancestors. But in Western countries, there is a strong vertical connection with each of us and God. And that's fine. But I think that this explains a lot of what is different about our way of thinking. I'm thinking as a Japanese now. Our way of thinking in the East and their way of thinking in the West. I shouldn't do this. I'm a Westerner standing here, but I think that there is a very big gulf that we have in terms of what is out there towards each other, connected in ways that we can't imagine, and our connection to God. I think this explains many of our differences in religion, our difference in morals, our difference in ethics, culture, almost everything. For example, Christians, Muslims, and Jews simply say that God made us. That's all. God made us. Buddhists say that our parents made us. It's obvious. And their parents made them, and their parents made them, and their parents made them, and on and on and on, This difference has a very profound effect on the way we think and the way we behave. One of the expressions that I've learned in Japan over the years is an expression that I'm sure you're very familiar with, and I don't need to tell a person who has been born and raised in Japan about this phrase, because you just instinctively understand it. So the translation of what I'm going to say is very short. But for people who don't understand Japanese, I want to talk about omoyari. Omoyari is an interesting concept. It's for someone who comes from the Western world. You know, it means, I think, when I try to explain it to my friends, omoyari is like putting others first in everything that you do. I mean, really, everything that you do. It's a matter of respect. It's a matter of respecting others, truly respecting others. Out of respect for others, whether they are dead or alive. I think that in Japan, people are taught to think of others first, put others first. They are taught to discover what other people need and to provide that need for them very quietly, not with a lot of fanfare. And people have done this for us, our family, for years and years in Japan. I've never seen anything like that in the United States. Let me give you an example of omoyari for our family, a personal example. We first went to Japan on a freighter, on a big boat, back in 1964. And we had a 3-year-old child, and it took 11 days to go from San Francisco to Kobe. We ran into a typhoon between Nagoya and Kobe. It was an amazing journey, and we really understood how far it is. I mean, now you get on a plane, and you've got, what, 12 hours, maybe? How many hours? You just flew in. How many hours on the plane? About, as I remember. Now, after we took that first boat ride, then we started flying. But in those days, in the 60s and 70s, before we go to Hawaii, and we had to change planes, and it's a long way. And sometimes I think when we get in a plane and we get here, with a nice nap, and then we're in another environment. This is amazing. Well, it was amazing for us when we got off the boat in Kobe with our 3-year-old son. I had studied Japanese for 7 years. I could say anything I wanted to say, but I couldn't understand a darn thing that people were saying to me. And it took about a year for me to be able to really understand everything my professors were telling me at Kobe University. So it was a shock. It was an absolute shock. And it was summertime. It was hot. It was mid-July. And we had 5 big suitcases on this little train, a local train from Kobe to Kyoto. And I thought, how do we go? And the train stops very short. How do you get off with 5 big suitcases, practically like trunks, So I was worried and worried and worried. We got to Kyoto, they called the name Kyoto, the doors open. Everybody in the train took our bags off. Can you imagine? I can't imagine, excuse me. Oh man, this is terrible, I'm sorry. But you can't imagine Americans doing this. This is a good example of omoyari. And we got off, we went downstairs, I couldn't find our bags. Where were our bags? And our son was crying, it was hot. And suddenly a beautiful little Olaiko-san came up and she said, in halting English, "Can I help you?" And our son was screaming and screaming. And she went off, she said, and then she went off. She came back with a little plastic bag of goldfish. And immediately our son started crying. And then she said, "Kochira." And she took us out to the taxi stand. She had put all of the bags in one taxi, and then we got in another taxi, and off we went to our hotel. Amazing. What an introduction. For some reason, the Western world has valued reason over emotion. And I think I'm giving you an example of a Westerner who is really very emotional. It can happen. But we don't think that's good, not in the Western world. It would be very embarrassing, more embarrassing in a Western audience for me to break down like this than it is here. Because I think that Japanese people and in the Eastern world in general, but especially in Japan, people have understood emotion as being a valid feeling, and that has to do with putting feelings of others over your own feelings. Sometimes I think that the modern Japanese, the young Japanese today are going too far in the Western direction. They're putting reason over feelings. But I'm not too worried, because I think that it's always going to be, I hope it's always a part of Japanese culture to value emotion as much as reason, and to put others' feelings before your own. Let me just try to explain why I think the Western world has valued reason over emotion. I think it all goes back to the ancient Greeks. Over 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago almost, the ancient Greeks, during the classical period, particularly during the first 5 centuries before the Christian era began, a very clear split emerged in the way people thought between reason and emotion. We don't know exactly why that happened, but people definitely began to trust the brain more than they trusted the heart. And this became the foundation, really, of classical Greek philosophy, that the mind was superior to the heart in all things. And this even got into religion, and to a certain extent, the Western religions also began to value more and more reason over emotion. I have been taught as a Western kid, growing up in a Western climate, that I must be rational, I must be reasonable, and everything must fit into a neat theoretical argument. This really means that emotion got a bad name in the Western world. This is when emotion became inferior to reason. I think that for many Westerners, the mention of emotions or feelings conjures up something fuzzy and unresolved and unreliable, or even worse than that. Emotion has always been seen as inferior to reason in the West for a very long time, and emotion is in the Western mind. It is connected with things that are unpredictable, things that are even demonic, you know what? It was blamed on women. Women became the bearers of emotion. They are hysterical. They are emotional. Men are not like that, you know. And so, in the Greek world and in the rest of the Western world, for a very long time, people began to feel that emotional, the word emotional, was hysterical. You can't do anything with a hysterical woman. You know, you can't do anything with anybody who's breaking down crying. They just have to dismiss them because they are maybe evil witches. Another term, very important term that I want to mention in passing here is the word kokoro. Because kokoro, if you look at a dictionary, a Japanese English dictionary, or a Japanese French dictionary, or a Japanese German dictionary, the word kokoro is always referred to as, guess what? Mind. Or heart. But mind is the first in most of these dictionaries. In other words, the Western world, if you tell the Western world that kokoro is a very important feature in Japanese culture, Westerners are going to say, why? I mean, the heart is unpredictable. It's something that you can't depend on. So in the dictionaries, all the Westerners have put in, for the translation of Kokomo, they have put in mind first, reason, and secondly it is heart. Well, I believe that in Buddhism, historically, scripturally, you cannot separate these two things. The mind and the heart are the same. But this is very, very difficult for Westerners to understand. The reason I believe this, that Buddhism accepts both as one concept, is because in ancient Sanskrit, you have many words that describe this amazing thing in the human and animal world. And the two of the worlds, Hridaya and Chitta, are those were the terms in Sanskrit that were put into Chinese when China accepted Buddhism as with the Chinese-Japanese character for Kokomo, which was in Mandarin Chinese as Xin, and in Japanese, of course, is Shin or Kokomo. And these terms refer to both reason and emotion. This is the reason that in all of my classes for 50 years, I have taught my students that the word Kokomo means both mind and heart. You cannot separate them. They are very, very closely linked in what I consider to be the ancient mind. And incidentally, something new. A friend of mine who's Jewish reminded me the other day when we were talking about this, that the word lev in Hebrew, in ancient Hebrew, lev is the word for heart. And it also, in ancient Jewish scripture, refers to both heart and mind, both reason and emotion. So maybe I've got something in that direction. My final thought for you, and I'm over time, I'm sorry about that, but really, I think this is maybe the main point I want to make, and that is that how do Japanese people learn to become people whose hearts are filled with omoyagi? How do Japanese people become people who have great respect for something they call Kokomo? I think it comes from training. You are trained. I was trained. This is why my professors told me I will never be able to understand Japanese history or Japanese anything unless I go into temples. I can do my research, look at all the documents that are in temples, but I have to do the training myself. And this is in Japanese called Shugyo. Shugyo. What these men have undergone, all priests and all denominations of Buddhism undergo is Shugyo. Your own life, you don't have to be a priest, you can undergo Shugyo. And I think that in Japan, not only priests, but other people, all people, have inherited something that you can call Shugyo. I call it Shugyo. For example, take lessons in tea. Take lessons in flower arranging. Take lessons in calligraphy. Take lessons in any of the classical arts, even Oshimai, or Buddha, or Gagaku, any kind of music, any of the traditional forms. And I think that Nembutsu falls into this category. That Nembutsu can give you a sense of humility and kindness that really has meaning for you, and that you can then become full of omoyari and Kokomo in a very natural way. I'm very concerned that young people in Japan today may not feel interested in the traditional ways. I think Westerners are more interested in the traditional ways of Japan than most Japanese are. But I've taught hundreds of Japanese students at Pepperdine, and at least dozens of students in Japan, and have encouraged them to to take some classes, karate, judo, kendo, anything that gives you a discipline that will take you out of your own self-concern and make you aware of others. This is the whole point, I think, of what I'm trying to say today. I'm going to say this. This is my personal prayer, and I'll end with this. On this very special occasion, this auspicious occasion of the 800th memorial anniversary of Honen Shonin, it is my personal prayer that Honen Shonin's advocacy of the practice of Nembutsu, which is cultivating the spirit of humility and kindness, that I have seen for myself in Japan, and that to a certain extent I've incorporated in my own life, will reach a very wide audience in this country and in other Western countries, so that this great, kind practice that Honen Shonin gave to you can be going to other people. And I think it's so wonderful that the North American, we are in the North American, we say that's what do you say? It's the mission right here, and it can spread throughout this country and through all the rest of the world. And I think that would be a great blessing. Namo Buddhist.
They closed and looking for the new site for the temple, so they had to close the temple. In case they need help, I think it's very nice to send support for our building a new temple in the future. Okay, we'd like to conclude this service with benediction, page 10.
Page 10, benediction. Amida Buddha surrounds all man and all form of life with infinite love and compassion. Particularly does he send forth loving to those in the suffering and sorrow, to those in doubt and ignorance, to those who are striving to attain truth, and to those whose feet are standing close to the great change called death. Amida Buddha sends forth ocean of wisdom, mercy and love. Namo Buddhist. Namo Buddhist. Namo Buddhist.
Okay, thank you so much. This concludes the Sunday service today. We have an announcement next week, Sunday, July 14th. There will be no Sunday service. instead we have a general cleanup and also October setting up for Obon. So right now it's a Obon season, and from next week, Monday, we have Obon Friday service, and also our official Obon service will be July 19th Friday, and 20th Saturday, and 21 Sunday, 10 o'clock. So these 3 days are official Obon services. And if you haven't ordered Chutoba, we still accepting Chutoba and also Chochi for the lanterns to decorate our temple. That will be very welcome. So once again, next week, no Sundays, but we welcome and appreciate your help coming to general cleanup and also setting up 9 o'clock. And we do have refreshment after that. And also, right now, yesterday, Moini, we had a big summer festival going on. And I think next, weekend, Friday, Saturday, lots of bond dances around Oahu. Like, I know, Higashi Honganji and Koboji, the Shingo Mission Koboji on the school street, they have bond dance. And also, Waipaku Honganji, and also, Kailua, the Weaver Buddhist temple, and they also Bishop Osaka, so there are 5, at least 5 bond dances in the state. So, and then our bond dance will be August 17th. Our bond dance here will be Saturday, August 17th. So please plan to come. And our sister temple, we have Haleiwa, Jodo Mission. Their bond dance will be July 26th and 27th, Friday, Saturday. And we have a bus going to Haleiwa on Saturday, July 27th. So we are welcoming your sign up for the bus riding. They start bus leaving here 4 o'clock and coming back leaving Haleiwa at 10 o'clock at night. So up to 50 people. And of course, this is our members, travel we actually welcome general. So anyway, thank you very much. Please, stay safe and have a great Sunday. Thank you so much. Please put your hands together and bless Thank you so much.